I wanted to ask you this. You mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright and Paulo Soleri, and I know you were at that lecture by Reed Kroloff about
Mm-hmm.
the Arizona School
Mm-hmm.
last year,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentioned you as one of the
Mm-hmm.
key figures in that school. So do you agree with him that there is an Arizona school?
Yes, I do, but that's not necessarily a compliment.
Okay.
You know, on the other hand, up until the last couple of years, the Arizona politics have really spoiled me on Arizona. I was its biggest advocate. In fact, I would tell people the best architecture in the world is going on in Arizona, and I really believe that. I thought something very special was happening here, not unlike the case study program in Los Angeles, or maybe even beyond the case study program, right after World War II, and these young people returned, and they were just ready to soar, and they did, and there were relationships. Everybody knew one another, and it was a very special time.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 60s, early 70s, a few people started arriving here. Beetle had blazed the trail. Wright and Soleri were here, so there was an intellectual component and perhaps even a permission slip,
Mm-hmm.
for younger architects to come in and again be inspired by the uniqueness of the Sonoran Desert. And Phoenix was ready. Arizona was ready. They're just. And I've been through many booms, but the boom of the late '70s was pretty spectacular. And anyway, it attracted more and more people, and our climate just is so forgiving. I mean, I design houses in the cold country and the rainy country, and it's a lot tougher
Yeah.
to do the kind of refined architecture that we do here because the elements are so severe. Anyway, I think we had people moving here that had an experimental nature. They had money. The climate was great, and this Arizona school started to develop unknowingly, but it did. Now I feel like, I mean, I get, maybe I'm proud to have been a founding member of that school,
Yeah.
one of them, but I'm ready to pull out of it.
Okay.
To put it very simply, I am so bored with the so-called modern architecture. I'm bored with rusted metal. I'm bored with pointy buildings. It's just, it's run its course. And I'm just beginning to see, I mean, they all, even though they're excellent buildings and
Yes.
so much better than the mediocrity that we came from, I feel
Right.
bad complaining, but Jesus, they're all looking the same. Everybody's got the same material palette, everybody's got the same tricks, and I'm just, it's just, I don't find it interesting anymore. So therefore, I'm moving on. I'm moving into other more dangerous territory, I hope.
Interesting. What is that? What are you
Well,
doing?
I'll give you an example. One thing I've been toying with for the last several years, not toying, but looking for a rationale to actually use wood in the desert. You know what happens if you put wood in the desert? It just disintegrates in one season. But there's something very beautiful about a material that nature takes back. She takes everything back. She's taking this building back. You'll see some rust up there. See it's almost falling in over there.
Oh yes.
And this ties into our earlier conversation about the old buildings and being able to work with old buildings and insert a modernism or juxtapose a modernism. But and it also ties into my travels and going to ancient cities and even Mexico City and Cuba most recently, and seeing how Mother Nature will become the architect. She becomes the designer. She takes over. And she wants to plant a tree inside of a building, she will. And,
wow.
and she'll crumble this, but she'll keep that. And there's something absolutely remarkable about these buildings that are in some state of decay. The entire city of Havana is in the state of decay, and I found it a complete turn on. I mean, it was beautiful. And I wanted to live there. I wanted to live among the cracked plaster, the peeling paint. I mean, because it was so honest.
Yeah.
It was not pretentious. It wasn't designed. It wasn't planned. And in a way it was, because if you can understand the chemistry and the physics behind all of it, it makes perfectly good sense. And the line of least resistance and all of those things come into bear. But the point is, it's not by us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not over thought. It's not over intellectualized. It is just as honest as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So where was I? I mean, these tangents just
Right.
are so easy to go off on. Therefore,
Yeah.
one, I think a reason I became interested with rammed earth, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's however old dirt is, that's how old the wall is, as far as I'm concerned. And because of, the certain consistency of dirt and pressure and this and that, no two walls are the same. You cannot screw it up. It's always beautiful, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it cracks, it's still beautiful. And so I've worked with that, but rammed earth is permanent. I mean, it too will return to the earth, but it will take multiple centuries for that to happen. Wood, on the other hand, will begin the process very quickly, and at some point stabilize to a certain degree. Rusted metal, you could make the case for that. Mother Nature ends up coloring it and texturing it and all that. But I'm doing a house on 32nd Street in Lincoln. It's got a rammed earth wall, and there are these 3 pavilions, and they are clad in wood. Now, underneath the wood, there's what's called a rain screen.
Uh-huh.
And that's the membrane, that's the weatherproofing.
Okay.
So I don't care if the wood twists and cracks and turns black and silver and gray. I want it to. And it will not violate or compromise the integrity of the house. So, I mean, this is it. I mean, it's either a really stupid idea or it's going to be amazingly beautiful.
Wow.
Because it's right now it's really interesting to see now, because the wood is new and it's blonde. It looks beautiful. It really does.
Right.
And this summer it'll be different, and then by the next summer it's going to be really different. But you look at the old barns,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at Cattle Track, one of the early Scottsdale settlements, and there's so much wood on it. And that's what we had
Right.
when we first started building here. And most of the pioneers, would do a lot of maintenance, trying to preserve their wood siding and painting it and this and replacing it and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let it go.
Neat.
We'll see what happens.
Interesting.